Okay, now we're going to start the color combinations warm, cool line drawings. And you can kind of see some examples up on the board. So the first thing that we kind of have to recall in our memory, warm colors. We're talking about the yellows, oranges, and reds. Okay, so those are the warm colors. Warm colors kind of pull the viewer in. They feel like they're coming at you when you look at them. They make you feel warm and cozy. The warm, hence the warm. Then we have cool colors. And in cool colors, we're talking about the violets, or the purples, the blues, and the greens. And cool colors tend to move away from the viewer. They kind of pull back from the viewer. You're going to have the option on this side. All these drawings have the cool colors in the background and the warm colors in the objects. On this side, they did the drawings, all the backgrounds are actually the warm colors, and then the objects are done with the cool colors. It is going to be your choice which one you want to do. But one area will be cool, one area will be warm. So, let's go through how we're going to do this. Project objectives. My job for this project is to create an optical illusion drawing by using optical art techniques. I'm going to go through that, drawing the lines and everything. Contour lines, color schemes, warm and cool, and color values, going light to dark. But this time, it's not light to dark for one color. It's going like yellows to oranges to reds, creating that light to dark feel. By the end of this project, I'll be able to use lines, colors, and values to create an optical illusion line drawing, emphasizing a warm color scheme and a cool color scheme. We're going to use a number 2 pencil, colored pencils, a Sharpie marker, a ruler, 12 by 18 drawing paper, and then I only have one set of these, but just kind of give us the idea of shapes that we can use, some foam shapes. Contour line drawing. Remember, a drawing in which only contour lines are used to represent the subject matter, the outside line. So we're not worried about details now. We're just worried about the actual lines that create the object. Optical art is a 20th century artistic style in which the artists use scientific knowledge about vision to create optical illusions. So, warm colors come at, cool colors detract. How are we going to use it so that when we look at it, some stuff looks like it's coming at us, some stuff looks like it's coming away. Cool colors, again, all the different variations of violets, greens, and blues. They pull away from the viewer. Warm colors come towards the viewers. Those are our yellows, oranges, and reds. Helpful hints and warnings. You're going to draw at least 5 large intersecting shapes on your drawing paper. Fill the space in an interesting way. So you're not drawing 5 objects like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have to intersect, overlap in some way. Okay? Keep the shapes simple. Do not get complex with this. The more complex you get, the harder you're going to make it on yourself. You do need to make sure you use a ruler so that your lines are nice and straight. You're going to choose one color scheme for the outside areas and stick to it. There's no swapping, doing half of it, half. No. You pick one color scheme. I'm going to do warm in the background, cool in the foreground. Once you've decided, it stays. You can decide the other way, but whatever you decide, that's what it stays. And no white areas are left showing when you are done. So the first thing that you're going to do, it says step 1 here, contour line drawing. Go back to your class binder pages if you need to for the reference of a contour line drawing. Remember, it's just the outside lines that create the drawing. Step 2, the contour line drawings. With a pencil, you are going to draw at least 5 intersecting shapes onto the drawing paper. You're going to fill the space in an interesting way. So I'm going to take my pencil, and maybe I'll do a triangle here, and a rectangle here, you know, circle going this way. Maybe I'll do another triangle, but have it kind of sideways here. And maybe I'll have it be a box. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I filled up my space with my lines. Okay, my 5 intersecting shapes. So they overlap each other, they fill up this space. Then it says, step 3, you're going to trace over your shapes with the Sharpie marker. I'm going to use my ruler so that my lines are nice and straight. And I'm going to trace over my shapes. Obviously, I'm not going to use a ruler for my circle. Doesn't work so well. If you want to find something to trace around the room that would give you a circle, go ahead. Here's my other triangle. Okay, so now I have my shapes. And I can go back and kind of erase my pencil lines so that I don't get confused by them later. You don't really have to erase all of them. You can just erase any big ones that kind of show through that you're like, oh, that might confuse me. I'm gonna get rid of it. Okay. Then it says, you're going to step 4, you're gonna divide horizontally across your paper, use your ruler. With a pencil, draw horizontal lines every 1/2 inch across the entire paper. If you want to do an inch instead, that is fine. You line your ruler up. Remember, the 0 goes at the edge of the paper, not the edge of the ruler. So there's my 0. I'm going to line it up against the edge of the paper so my ruler hangs off just a little bit. And here's my 1/2 inches. I'm just kind of marking them real quick. Okay, remember, I don't flip the paper at all. I just slide my ruler down. We've done this before. And again, I'm gonna mark my 1/2 inches. Again, if you really want to use an inch instead, that's fine. Okay, and now I connect my lines. I'm not going to do all of them to take up, I don't want to take up too much of the time, but I'm going to do a few so that it cuts through some of my images so that I can show you the next steps. So give me a second. Okay, so pretend I've continued to do that all the way down. Now it says, where am I? Step 5, divide diagonally. So you're now doing corner to corner. It says use a ruler, use a pencil, draw 7 diagonal lines, making sure they cross through each shape at least once. So now you're gonna go, so here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, here's 5, here's 6. Let's add one more here. Here's 7. Okay, so they don't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to measure them out. You just have to have 7. And notice that they cut through. Each shape has at least one line that cuts through it. Okay, now it says, step 6, stripe the background, starting at the top line, so this one, fill in every other space with the Sharpie, avoiding the shapes. So I'm gonna take my Sharpie and okay, so if I start here and I fill this whole thing in with Sharpie, okay, and I'm not gonna take the whole time to do this. You're gonna take the whole time to do this, but I'll go right up to the edge so that you guys can see what we're talking about. So pretend that whole thing is filled in. This next one is what gets filled in next. But notice I do not go into my shape at all. I go just next to it and I fill it in. Okay, and then this one is empty, and then this one. So you're doing every other one. I go to my shape and I stop. Okay, so you're gonna do that throughout the whole thing. Now, if I remember correctly, so basically, since this whole thing would be white in here, this would now need to be black again. But again, remember, I'm not doing my shape at this point. So you do this all the way, okay? Then it says, step 7, now within the objects, fill in every other space with the black Sharpie, opposite the surrounding. So you see how this is white here in this space. So this part of my shape would then be black. Since this is white next to it, this part of my shape would then be black. Okay, and then this is black, so that's white. If this is going to be white, then this part of my shape would be black, and I stop at the line. This would be white. Over here, this little itty bitty corner would be black. And once you do the background first, do the whole background first, then go into the shapes, and it's going to be easier for you to kind of figure that out. So once you're done with the Sharpie, you're done with the Sharpie. Now you start with colored pencils. Where am I? Okay, it says kind of practice creating a value bars with the cool colors and then again with the warm colors. So you're gonna flip your paper over and you're gonna get your warm colors and you can pick the colors that you wanna use. So I'm just gonna kind of separate my warm colors and then I'm gonna pull out my cool colors, the colors I want to use. Now, am I going to use all of them? Probably not. But at least I will have them separated so that if I want to use them, I can. Okay. I don't know if I like that red. We're going to test it out. Okay, so here are my violets. Here are my greens. Here are my blues. So here, and I'm going to just kind of see the color, see what I like. So this one is pretty dark. And I like those. Maybe I'll use those on a different line, but okay. I'm going to try a value scale, and I'm going to take the violet. So this is violet, and you can read the name. And I'm going to kind of do a value scale. So this is my dark value. And then I'm going to take the blue, and it says blue on the side. And this will be like my medium value. Okay, and then I'm going to take my green, which would be considered my lighter value. So you can kind of see dark to light value scale, okay? So it's not the violet having all the values, it's going dark to light within the colors that you choose. Now I'm going to try the same thing. You can kind of see which colors I like. Ooh, that's a good red. Let's try this red. That's kind of a nice red too. I like that red. Okay. Let's see which yellow I like. I like that yellow. These are pretty similar. Let's go with that yellow. Okay, I might go back and use those, but right now I'm not. So my red is going to be the darkest. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to kind of create my value scale. So this is going to be my dark value, leading into my medium value. You notice how I kind of overlap so that there's no separation. It just goes from dark to medium. And then to light. Okay. I don't really kind of like how that looks, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of blend this a little bit so that I have that nice change. And then I'm going to extend this out a little bit more. So then I have a nice, so I have two value scales, dark, medium, and light. Okay, so you practice. So with step 8, it says practice the value scales, figuring out what you're going to use. Then what you're going to do, and I could do that with the other ones, like let's say if I liked like these, I could be like, okay, let me see which one. It would really go this, and pretty much go like that to get the dark, because that's darker. Here's our medium. Here's our light. So you can kind of see. So you're just kind of practicing figuring out dark mediums to light. But I'm going to kind of stick with the 3 that I chose for right now. Now we go back. Step 9, it says, color scheme for the outside. Pick which color scheme. I think I'm going to use blue, the cool colors for the outside, so I'm going to check that off as a reminder, which means I'm going to use warm colors for my inside. I'm going to check that off as a reminder. Step 10, it says values on the outside. Going from the darkest value to the lightest value, create a value scale within each empty. So now this one is empty, and I decided to use cool. So I'm going to create, here's my dark value. Okay. And then I go to my medium value. And I could really extend this a little bit further into that. And then here's my light value. And I'm going to do that for all of the empties that are in the background only. Then it says step 11 on the inside. Now I would do this, I would do the exact opposite. So I would take my empty and I would take my red here. It's small, so I'm going to do little bits. Here's my orange. And here's my yellow. And now I do that. So if you look, here I'll show you. And now these are 1 inch, so again, if you want to do 1 inch instead, you can see my cools in the background, my warms in the foreground. This one started the cools or I mean, I'm sorry, the warm's in the background. So now we would actually go in and do the cools and the shapes themselves. So here would be and then here's my green. And you go back and you make it nice. So that's basically how that you are going to do that. And then you grade yourself. And let's stop here for a moment and then I will go over the grading rubric. So think about what do you want to do in the foreground versus the background. Like what colors do you want for the objects, warm or cool? The opposite has to be for the background. What objects are you going to use? You can see like this one, they used the hand. They did a heart. You can use just simple shapes. This one, they kind of did like organic shapes where they're not really anything. They're just a shape, blobby kind of shape. Totally fine. Here we have a, they actually did like a bat. So you can see there's the head, there's the wing, there's the other wing. Has like a little tail to it, okay? So they got a little bit more creative with that. Totally up to you. But remember, the more complicated the design, the harder it's going to be for yourself. So try to keep it kind of on the simple side. Okay, and now we're going to go over this in the next video.